Ta-da! So, this is about postmodernism, and it's about art and postmodernism, because the two are in conflict. But I could have spoken of science and postmodernism, or happiness and postmodernism, or sanity and postmodernism. Any of these things which are in conflict with postmodernism. But because I'm an artist and not a scientist, although you should see me at it, I'll talk about art because I'm more qualified to talk about the problem of postmodernism in relation to art than I am, for instance, science or sanity, let's be honest. So yeah. Okay, firstly, when you say art, the assumption is most people, if not everybody, doesn't know what art is. And it's meant to be this great mystery, and I actually don't agree with that. In fact, I find that idea sort of quite funny, because there has been an epic holy war since our species has existed, whereby true art has been in conflict with true malevolence, and so art is a thing. Otherwise, it would mean that any phenomena would be acting in this holy war. I guess to an extent it is, but do you get what I mean there? You know, if art could be anything, then how could there be this conflict? But yeah, I think I'll go back to something that I said about art ages ago. Video that I actually took off because I think at the time I was high or something, and it was a very intense video, and what I said in the video I think was a very good point, but I didn't really like the video. I was like a little bit sort of manic or something like that. But yeah, the the relationship between absolutism and nihilism in art. Already postmodernism sneaking in there with the nihilism. But the idea being, you have two groups, or sound postmodernist, you have two basic opinions. One opinion is that unless there's some sort of skill and some sort of deliberate craft and some sort of difficulty in creating the art, and unless it's sort of in some way obviously appealing compared to other phenomena, other sort of creations, then it's not art. You know, the idea that like that's not art because it's not well done. There's this opinion. And the other opinion is, oh my god, you're a Nazi if you think that. Obviously anything can be art. And I think that both of these opinions are wrong, because the ones who are saying that's not art because it's not well done are onto something, because there is such a thing as art and not art, and superior art. And there is also subjectivity, but I'll come back to that. There is such a thing as art, and it's truth. It's the artist is seeking truth and creating things which are truthful, which resonate with truth, or which, well, typically that they resonate with truth. They might say something truthful, although that's not very powerful. Often it's the idea that the artist understood something and they couldn't put it into words, so they did a painting, or they made some music, or they did a film to express this truth, and that's art. So there is such a thing as art, and something which is not really art. I guess there's an element of truth to almost everything, even postmodernism. But anyway, yeah. So as far as I'm concerned, it has to be good to be art, but that doesn't mean it has to be well done. It has to be truthful. It has to be, it has to resonate with some kind of truth. And what you find is happening is the artist understood something. They were capable, luckily, if they were lucky, they were capable of creating anything. It could have been made with coat hangers, or it could have been a fine painting, who knows. But they were capable of bringing something into the material world from the immaterial world of their personal experience that other people engaged with, encountered, and they had a comparable experience and they understood the same truth. And so it's not actually that subjective. There's always an element of subjectivity, but the subjectivity isn't the part which is resonating. The artist found the truth, got it out there. Maybe it wasn't quite right, but he got it as close as he could, and the other people witnessed it and they experienced that truth as well. And that was art. And if you're lucky, you're a great craftsperson. I think it's always good to be a good craftsperson. Apparently Van Gogh was not so much, and it's possible that that actually helped his work, because he might have censored his instincts more had he had better craft ability. But generally, I think it's good if you have ability for craft, because that way you're trying to bring something from the immaterial world into the physical world faithfully. And so, yeah, you need the tools. But it's not to say that if you bring something into the material world faithfully and it works, and it wasn't hard to do, and it didn't take much skill, it's not to say that that's any lesser than the one that did take skill in terms of the quality of the art. It is greater because it has this add-on of marvelling at the ability of the artist. That's just a bonus. Anyway, it's not about that. So, subjectivity is wonderful, and that's why we have favourite films and best films. You know what I mean? You say, like, this is my top 10 films, these are the best films ever made. And it'll be stuff that you've looked at objectively and you've found the most profound truths were hit squarely on the head with incredible genius craftsmanship. These things came together, and the film is just objectively better than most other films, and you find the best films in that way. And they're works of art on the basis that the truth that they impart, or that lives in them. And then subjectively you say these are the top 10 films, and it'll be things that where you might have fancied the girl in it, or you might have you might just like the soundtrack, or you just love the movie. And you get the ones in between, like Labyrinth, where it's like it's not one of the greatest films ever, although it's pretty damn good, and you happen to like that movie, now making you like Labyrinth. Anyway, art is the quest of experiencing abstract truths, and if you're lucky, being able to put those abstract truths into poetic words, who knows, or to symbols, and manifesting in any medium, in any way, forms like sculptures or films, etc., which resonate with that truth so that it can be shared by other people who encounter the artwork. And this is part of a holy war that has been fought for ever. And it's very much like a football match where I don't watch football. I kind of think of football as like a screensaver. But as far as I know, like you watch, like you want it to go that way, and when it goes that way you feel sad, and when it goes that way you feel happy. And it's a bit like that with this holy war of art, truth versus untruth, or chaos, or you say balance. Truth and balance are actually the same thing. Truth and balance versus untruth. chaos, and also happiness and suffering are actually the same thing. Isn't it amazing, by the way, that the truth and everything that is good are actually the same phenomena? Think about that. Because no matter how bad things are, at least the truth is what's good. And it's like, it's bad when we lose the truth. But imagine if the untruth was what was good. Okay? So that's good. Anyway, there's this holy war. And then the tanks come in from the side of chaos and untruth, and you know, it's like the scene in Lord of the Rings where they have the fucking elephants, like the kind of like the shadow is cast across the battlefield, and you think, oh, like this is an unforeseeable sort of immense destructive force that we're going to have to be very and very ingenuitive about dispensing with, and that would be postmodernism, because people have thought, like with the music industry, why is the music industry shit? Why is the music industry dead now? And why sometimes was it shit, and yet at times there were actually sort of quite a rich crop of people like David Bowie or artists, let's say, forget about who they may be. And people would say, well, it's about the money, and it is kind of about the money, but it's also because this holy war has a lot to do with the forces of darkness trying to control us, and music, good music, being the truth, being liberating, and being it clears our sight and it clears our shackles, and if music can be taken away from us, and art in the galleries as well, art in the galleries is becoming shit, music films are mostly shit, if these things can be taken away from us, we lose our torch, you know, and we lose our sword and our shield. And so it's not just the money. These things have become corrupted because they protect us and they nourish us. And so the less protection we have, the less nourishment, the more we succumb to being controlled. And so the, you know, the witches of life get to have us rather than us having us, if that makes it. You know, why do they want to control us? Because they want energy or whatever, however you might call it. Anyway, postmodernism is because of this conflict. It's a new weapon, and you can take away the art forms and the art, but what if you take away the idea of striving, of fighting back, of being on a quest? What if, like in Labyrinth, remember the scene in Labyrinth where the Goblin King gives Hoggle the peach to give to Sawa, and she bites the peach, and then she goes into a dream, and she forgets that she's even on a quest. And if that was a postmodernist dream, it would be like a Hieronymus Bosch painting. It wouldn't be like a Venetian ballroom. But in a sense, it's like that. It's like forgetting that there was even a quest in the first place. This is the weapon of postmodernism. They don't just take away the art forms, they don't just take away the art works, they don't just silence the artists, they convince us that there is no truth. Alright. They convince us that there is no truth.